Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is headed back to the U.S. after meeting with top Saudi and Turkish officials about the disappearance of Washington Post contributor Jamal Khashoggi. Turkish officials claim they have proof that a 15-member Saudi hit squad killed Khashoggi inside Saudi Arabia's consulate in Istanbul. They have yet to release that proof. Robin Wright has covered the Middle East for more than 4 decades and written 8 books about the region. She's a contributing writer for The New Yorker and a longtime friend of Jamal Khashoggi. Robin Wright, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
I know you last spoke with Jamal in August, and he was worried about his life. What did he tell you about why he may think that the Saudis and the Crown Prince would want him dead?
Well, he said that Saudis wanted him out of the picture. He had become, over the past year, one of the most outspoken and most visible Saudi dissidents. An odd position for a man who actually still supported the monarchy. But he had begun to call the current Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, the most autocratic leader of all 6 kings who have ruled since the founder of Saudi Arabia died in 1953. And this was clearly a line that went too far.
So he was also critical, not just of the Crown Prince, but of the Crown Prince's father.
Absolutely. He was critical of this particular line of the royal family. Remember that since the Crown Prince was appointed last year, the king has effectively created a whole new royal family from thousands and thousands of princes who all felt that they deserved, whether it was a piece of power or some of the perks and privilege of the monarchy.
Robin, what was the nature of the criticism, and how did that differ from, there's been criticism for years about the U.S. relationship with Saudi Arabia, and so why and how is this different?
Well, this is a turning point, I think, between the United States and Saudi Arabia. And you think of just 6 months ago, the Crown Prince was touring, whether it was Harvard, Hollywood, or Houston. He was feted by some of the most luminary names in technology industry and the movie industry. And this is a moment where his place, his power within the kingdom is actually being questioned. And that was something that Jamal had accomplished in his disappearance that he hadn't been able to do in his life.
Robin, what are your thoughts about how President Trump is handling this, Robin, even floating the idea of rogue killers?
Well, he's the first one to float that idea, and he's really taken an enormous gamble. 3 of his most important objectives anywhere in the world are in the Middle East, and he's invested particularly in the Crown Prince, whether it's on the elusive Middle East peace plan, counterterrorism in the age of ISIS, or squeezing Iran into changing its behavior or even changing the regime itself. And so this is a real challenge for his foreign policy as well as relationship with the kingdom.
Robin, there have been calls from many for an independent investigation. People saying the Saudis can't investigate themselves, don't know how much they can rely on the Turkish authorities. What do you think?
There is no Bob Mueller in the kingdom, and the challenge for the legitimacy of any report is finding someone who is going to tell something that even begins to resemble the truth. There is no independent judiciary, and in fact, the Crown Prince over the past 16 months has consolidated all 5 sectors of power, economic, military, and the royal court. It's very hard to find someone who will dissent.
Robin, because you know so much about the Middle East, I think there is another subcontext to this entire story beyond Jamal Khashoggi and his alleged murder there. Why is Turkey leaking these details? What's Turkey's relationship with the Saudis? What do they want from the Saudis? Is Qatar involved in this at all?
Well, it's a really interesting power play between 2 of the most significant players in the region. Turkey and Saudi Arabia have been rivals for power in the Gulf, and in many ways interpreting how Islam and politics intersect. So this will play out on levels that have far more repercussions than just Saudi Arabia, the United States. It'll play out across the region.
All right, Robin Wright, thanks so much.